All right. We have a 2-for-1 special today. There is a special guest today who's going to talk to us about his experience with grit chairs. This is Jared. He's from Reading, Pennsylvania. He's a friend of Todd's, who's a hand cyclist, a fellow hand cyclist. He's got a presentation for us. If you'd like to tune in, he'll have a mic as well if you need to stay in the back. But we do have a few chairs if people want to take a seat and listen up. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, some of you might have recognized me from before. I come out once a year just to do the Toad event for the hand cycle races. Unfortunately, they canceled it this year. There was a low turnout, but I really like coming out here to watch the races and riding the trails. And I stay at Cal University, so you know it's just always glad to come back out here. So I have a little presentation I wanted to do. Dan invited me to do on the grit chair. I have my own grit chair. I use it quite a bit. I actually had something that was already prepared from a presentation I was supposed to do in Damascus for what they call Appalachian Trail Days in Virginia. So a lot of this is just stuff I'm going to read off, but you know, so I'll just go to it and I'll let you know when. So that's fine. I should probably sit so I can see it. All right, so you know, as with any of us with our disabilities, a lot of times people ask me, what's your story? And I say, how much time you got? You know, it's really hard to sum up easily after all I've been through. It takes a good 5 years to mentally pull through from an injury like I had. And especially when you're an active person, you know, a lot of people give up. It's not easy. So I was a 4-year track cross country runner all through high school and college. I went to Bloomsburg University. I live there now. It's near Scranton, Pennsylvania. And I always liked cycling. I rode to school for transportation, for jobs. When my running career plateaued my senior year, I was ready to take on bike racing as a new challenge. I hung up my running shoes at the end of cross country my senior year. I didn't race track my last semester. And I got on our collegiate cycling team, and I did 2 or 3 races every weekend in my last semester, and I did pretty well early on. You can go to the next one. Thanks. So I was hooked immediately with racing bikes. I was a very good hill climber, riding as I was running. And I had a lot of wins and places as I moved up through the ranks. Across 10 years of cycling and 200 races, I did about 20 a year. You can go to the next one. Just some pictures of some racing. At the peak of my fitness, I almost had enough points for a Cat 1 racing cyclist, which is one step from being professional. You can go to the next one. This is some race I won that was in Pennsylvania. That had a hill climb finish, so of course that was better for me. Go ahead. That's obviously at Mount Mitchell. That's, as it says, the highest peak east of Mississippi. That's probably like a 5 or 6 mile climb, and I just like to do that kind of stuff. Climbing was my favorite thing, and obviously it's very hard doing it on a hand cycle. Go ahead. That's another race I did in Millersburg. They don't do that anymore. That's probably an hour from my house. I'm the third guy back. That's a crit. Go ahead. All right. So at 31, I'm 41 now. At 31, I lost my job as a production scheduler and decided it was finally time to fulfill my dream of riding across the country solo. I always wanted to do it since high school. I wanted to do it unsupported, no saddlebags, just you know, as light as I could be, and I didn't want to follow a vehicle or any of that. I like to do it without a safety net. So this is when I started. That my dad took that picture. That would have been late July of 16. Bike's ready to go. I'm at the Philly airport. I flew to Portland, and a friend took me to Astoria, on the coast, where I started. So the trip was the highlight of my life to this day. I was 1,800 miles and 18 days in. I was doing 100 every day when I was struck by a pickup truck in Sioux City, Iowa, and that was on August 11th to 16th. Of course, it'll be 10 years this August. So he did stop and rendered aid, and I suffered a T5 spinal cord injury, which is why I'm in the chair, and I broke both my arms. I was wearing a helmet, and which obviously saved my life. He was going 55 when he hit me, and I only had a mild concussion. Fortunately, I didn't have a TBI. You can go to the next one. Okay, so that was when I started on the Pacific Coast. I wanted to ride east in the summertime. You have the prevailing westerlies. The wind is usually coming from the west. I had very few days with a headwind and some tremendous tailwinds. So a friend took that dropped me off. That's the wreck of the Peter Isledale. It's a ship that ran aground. Nobody got hurt. That's right off the coast in Astoria, Oregon. Go ahead. So that's again where I started. That's what I was rolling with. I got my race bike. It only weighs about 16 pounds, and I didn't have more than 10 pounds of stuff in that bag. I wasn't camping. I would stay at host housing or hotels. I was, kept it light. You go ahead. So this was again just, some things from the trip. A lot of people, when they do this, it's almost like to prove like that they were in each state, that you get pictures at the state line. So, that's when I crossed the states, I did that. Go ahead. Montana. A lot of these, I've been every state now, but a lot of this stuff I was seeing for the very first time. I was never in any of these states, and I was riding across them, and it's in my opinion the best way to to see the country. Go ahead. This is in Yellowstone. That's it. There's no big fancy sign. That's it. So go ahead. Some people were at the sign, and I had them take that picture for me. Go ahead. This has significance. My cousin was actually the mayor of Vermillion, South Dakota. This is the last picture that was ever taken of me before I got hurt. So I'm 31, I'm at my prime fitness, and a lot of times, when you get in an accident, you could be at your prime fitness. So he took that picture. I had lunch with him, and I got hurt about 2 hours after that. Go ahead. So now we're into the hand cycling thing. So I was introduced to hand cycling probably a few months after I got hurt when I got home, and it ultimately saved my life. It helped me build strength back in my arms because I couldn't bear weight for like 10 weeks. And, your arms don't normally have that endurance. So it takes a long time the first time you do it, you're only going to do a couple miles. And fast forward, like I've done several 100-mile rides. I got more and more endurance on my own. I got my own race bike after borrowing a loaner. We have a not-for-profit called I Am Able back in Reading that they have loaner bikes. So, I've been racing for about 6 years now. Hand cycle races there's none even in Pennsylvania. So the bike is adaptive. I have a case for it. It flies for free. I go all over the country with it. And this year will be my 5th year doing RAGBRAI, the Ride Across Iowa, this coming July. One thing that there's a lot of similarities I noticed with MS and stuff. I've never looked at my disability as a major setback. I didn't look at it that way from day one. More like a minor inconvenience that brought on new challenges. I continue to do the things I've always wanted to do pre-injury as much as I can. So, the hardest thing I've ever done, probably ever that I could think of, period in my life, but definitely post-injury, is hand cycle to the top of Mount Washington. That's a 7.5 mile climb, but it averages 13%. It's pretty much hailed as the hardest climb in the world because there's climbs that are much longer than that are 20, 30 miles, but they're not that steep. So you're talking a 7.5 mile climb and a 4,300 foot gain of elevation in that short of a distance. You can go to the next one. Oh, you're trying to do that. Okay, you're that's from Tulsa. Last year was the first year they had us at Tulsa Tough. I'm in the back there. Go ahead. Take your time. Go the other way. You're going backwards. Take your time. Just a little bit. One more. That's the same race, just a different angle. I'm in the back there. It's really cool. Thousands of people watching that race. Go ahead. Okay, so that's Mount Washington. That's at the start, 8 miles to the summit. You know, it's 4,500 feet and 7 miles. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. So anyway, let me get my place here again. So I think the next one's Mount Washington. Go ahead. So that's, you know, you're going up into the fog. We got lucky that day because the weather, you know, was favorable. It's as I'm sure you're aware, it's very volatile. It's always windy up there. Go ahead. That's at the top. So that was 3 hours and 15 minutes of riding uphill. I think I stopped once in the middle to go to the bathroom. That's it. And you know, when you're going up a hill like that, you're only going to average 2 miles an hour. It's grueling, and there's no way I could have done that until I probably was racing for as long as I was at that time, maybe the year before, because it's so much different than you know, riding a regular bike. Go ahead. That's just some picture in a race, I guess. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Now we're going to switch over to hiking, and that was just more of an introduction about cycling. And now after cycling, my second favorite activity was hiking the Appalachian Trail. My number one bucket list thing was riding across the country. And you know, let me back up. Once the year that I did RAGBRAI in 2022, my injury occurred, like I said, near Sioux City, Iowa. Well, RAGBRAI usually starts close to there. It's a different course, but it usually starts near there. So once I reached the Mississippi, of course, the eastern border of Iowa, I wanted to finish from that point east to finish my bike trip with the hand cycle. So I shipped my chair home, and this was something new to me. It was kind of crazy because, you know, think about those of you that use chairs. Like, imagine not having your chair. Now, I'm an incomplete spinal cord injury, so I can stand up and hold on to stuff. I can't, not without a walker, but I can hobble around enough that helped. So, but I didn't want to follow a vehicle to carry my chair. I didn't want that. I wanted to do it by myself. So when I finished RAGBRAI, I shipped my chair home, I had somebody take it to the post office, and it was just me and the hand cycle from Dubuque, Iowa, all the way to Ocean City, New Jersey. Now, with the hand cycle, obviously I'm not going to average 100. I averaged about 60 a day. You know, that took like probably 3 weeks. Now, you know, like a lot of SCIs and some of you, I do have to catheterize. I can only carry so many. So I had a pack on the back with like a week's worth of supplies. Then my parents made 2 shipments to post offices that I picked up more along the way. So anyway, when I got done, you know, I had a huge welcoming of the family and friends at the Ocean City Boardwalk. And it was a huge weight lifted to be done because I told the nurses when I was injured, when I was in the hospital in Iowa, I said, you know, if I don't recover enough to use a regular bike, I'll finish it with a hand cycle. And I finally got that done. So, you know, with the thing with the water, a lot of people, oh, we're gonna dip the bike in. Well, I couldn't walk by myself down with the sand, so my 2 first cousins were there. They're big dudes, so they just shouldered me down, and then I stood in the water. So now after cycling, like I said, my second favorite thing was hiking the Appalachian. A lot of us that are, you know, in the lingo with the Appalachian, we call it the AT. So if I happen to just say AT, I'm referring to Appalachian Trail. You know, I only grew up about 10 minutes away from a trail town called Port Clinton, which is where you can get on the trail. So, and that was my number 2 bucket list thing in my life. I didn't have to do it all at once, but I wanted to do the whole thing, and while I was still working, so I would do it in sections. So some college teammates would join me as we started from my hometown, like I said, near Port Clinton, and you know, with the spring and summer bike racing schedule, you know, most of our hiking was in the fall and the winter, because in the summer I'm addicted to racing bikes. I don't, you know, want to hike. So I have two huskies. The one's at Carroll, but the other one is at home with my parents. Shortly after getting my first husky, Titan, at 10 months, he's 13 now, we always did a full week hike right after Christmas. I didn't work. The factory was closed between Christmas and New Year's. It was a perfect opportunity for somebody that doesn't mind the cold. The dog obviously doesn't. Being a husky, that, you know, and a buddy of mine we would hike during that period. And I was always a purist, like I was with riding across the country. You either rode across or you didn't. There's no skipping things, at least for me, in the middle, like, oh, I got picked up. So, you know, the Appalachian on the trees is all marked with a white blaze. So a white blaze purist like me is, I would always insist that when we would do our hikes, that we always started right where we left off. Because just like riding coast to coast, you either hiked the whole Appalachian or you didn't. You know, you have to walk the whole thing. So, you know, we were very fit from being endurance athletes from running and stuff. So 20 to 25 a day, even when it was rocky, it wasn't a problem. You know, I have a lot of good memories from hiking and stuff. So I did 1/3 of the whole thing. The Appalachian Trail from Springer, Georgia to Katahdin, Maine is 2,100 miles. So I did 1/3 of it in sections before I got hurt, from the James River in Virginia up to Kent, Connecticut. I didn't skip anything in between because we always started where we left off. So now, I discovered this manual off-road chair, which is made by some engineers from MIT that wanted to get a disabled friend that they had, you know, back in the woods. So, you know, obviously if you're familiar with it, it's called the Go Grit Freedom Chair. Now, after paying $16,000 for a hand cycle, you'll be happy just paying $3,000 to get back into hiking, because that's all that chair costs. They make it pretty affordable. And that weighs about, with the handles on it, it's about 55 pounds. It's a little heavy, but take it from somebody that's beat the crap out of that, it's very durable. That's all right. I needed to take a drink anyway. Yeah. Try to hit the next one on that. I was on the left in that. So this is just some able-bodied hiking things. We didn't always have when we were younger, we didn't have all the fancy stuff. We didn't, you know, we were wearing more technical clothing. So that's me on the left with my face right in the middle of the thing. Go ahead, it's the next one. That's somewhere in Pennsylvania. That's me, another able-bodied hiking picture. Go ahead. That's at that is in Harper's Ferry. That's the AT headquarters. So a lot of people stop and get their picture taken there. Obviously, I'm on the right. Go ahead. There's Titan. That, I think, was the last section hike I did before I got hurt. That's the state line for Connecticut. Go ahead. Again, that's the Mason-Dixon to Pennsylvania-Maryland line. Go ahead. They do hang gliding there. That's in somewhere in Pennsylvania. You gotta think what the name of the Penmar. It's right in the Pennsylvania-Maryland line, but the town's actually called Penmar. Go ahead. That's at the top of a big climb called the Priest. I don't know how those steps got there. I don't know what the story is. You can pause that if it lets you. Just let me know if it goes to the other one. So that's after I got hurt. That's at the Pinnacle. The Pinnacle is the most photographed overlook on the Appalachian in Pennsylvania. That's near Port Clinton. That's only about, you know, like I said, that's about 15 minutes from where I grew up. But that's like a 4-mile hike. It only gets that rocky the last 100 yards. So those guys are shouldering me. The chair is a little in the background. So we hiked there, you know, and then these are kind of building blocks. So I got the grit chair up there. So once I knew I could do that, then I said, well, I did the Grand Canyon South Rim before I got hurt, but I never did the North Rim. So I figured, well, you know, that led me to want to do the Grand Canyon. So go ahead to the next one. That's the pinnacle again. Those are the guys that helped me go up. So one of them would push the handles, and then I would have like a rope around the front. Each one would hold the rope. You can go ahead. Same thing, pinnacle. Oh, we carry. All right, so that's at McAfee. So I'm gonna pause there. You know, when I did the Grand Canyon, I had help of 3 friends. I hiked, like I said, the South Rim before I got hurt. So we all had a lot of experience in the heat. You know, it's hot down there. We did it in June. The North Rim is only open starting in May. The permits were full at that month. So we had a permit for the Bright Angel campground, and we were going to go back up the North Rim because it's a 4-hour drive to the other side. Well, you know, nobody's ever done it before. So I was the first person to do it in the chair, the ranger said. So, you know, we didn't know how it was going to go. Well, it was hard. So hit the next one, see where we're at. That's at McAfee. You know, I forgot to mention, I hiked McAfee Knob before the Grand Canyon. So that is the most photographed overlook on the entire Appalachian Trail. Might look familiar to some of you. That's near Roanoke, Virginia. That's about a 4-mile hike to the top. That I've done, I think 6 times now. I'm not afraid of heights. That's why I'm sitting near the edge. It doesn't bother me. You can go ahead. There's Arrow. She's out here with me. She's on the right, Titan. McAfee has incredible sunrise and sunsets. I have a friend near there. He's nuts. He's been there like 600 times. He goes up like twice a week. But his name's Tim Lewis. He gets incredible pictures. Go ahead. And he took these pictures. Now that I think is at sunrise, but so it's just it's something you got to see in person. And that is not that difficult of a hike. If you had help, you know, many of you could get up there using that chair. Go ahead. Same thing, McAfee. Like I said, I've been there a couple times. Tim puts his watermark on there, so that's, you know, he took the picture. Go ahead. Same thing, different angle. It's always different, you know, sunrises and sunsets there. It's a place that's really neat. Go ahead. Like I said, not afraid of heights. But now some guys are nuts. Some guys, there's a guy that does handstands real close to it. The craziest thing I saw, there was 2 guys that were rock climbers. The one guy was actually hanging by his arms. He was hanging off with both hands. And the other guy was standing above him and had his one foot up in the air like he was about to stomp on his feet, you know. Go ahead. Yeah, there's the handstand guy. And that's Tim Lewis on the left. So, and then that's supposed to look like, it's supposed to look like he's trying to push me off, and I'm like stopping. It's just, I don't know. They like to take all these goofy pictures. So I got a lot of friends down there, and I'm fortunate for that. You know, we all need that sometimes. Go ahead. Yeah, I think that was last year. So, like I said, they always tell me that they're like, sit, yeah, go ahead. Same thing. That's my trail name. I have a No Fear backpack, so I transferred that to that bag, and its trail name's No Fear. So that's looking from the same overlook, looking out. Go ahead. Same thing. Go ahead. All right, so that's Carly Pearson. She is the only person besides me that's been up there. She went the last time I did it. We each had a crew of like 4 or 5 people. She drove up from Knoxville, and Mark, that's Tim's friend, Mark, that took the picture. Go ahead. That was with a group of us. I think everybody involved there that I got both the dogs. When me and Carly both did it. Go ahead. Tim likes to take these interesting pictures. So you can see that's my reflection in the water behind me. and he always has a penchant for catching these neat opportunities. Go ahead. All right, so go back one if you can. That's all right. We'll let you go back.
Yeah, you gotta go to the other side.
Other side, down a little, in the middle. Don't do that. Right there. Yeah, twice. 1, 2. All right. So that's Arrow. She's pulling me on the chair, tighten slightly out of view. Go ahead. This is going up. We went for an FKT even though I already had it. So that's like a 4-mile hike. A lot of it's on a fire road. It doesn't get rocky till the end. So we did it, and he said, Tim's a really ultra marathon runner, and he said, do you want to do it in sub 2? I said, okay, let's do it. So we did it in 1 hour and 38 minutes. Go ahead. Just another view, things you can do with the chair. So, the dogs are obviously meant to do that. They like having the job. They have mushing harnesses, they're pulling me. Go ahead. So here's, this is kind of the meat of what you can do with this thing. So over time, I've evolved to making this easier and faster. We used to just use ropes with the front. Well then, your hands are gonna get screwed up. So I found out, on Amazon for like 20 bucks, you can buy those waist belts that you use to like pull stuff, and those strongman things where the guys are like pulling airplanes and stuff. That's what they're using. So those go around the front of the chair, and now this way, the guys have their hands free, and they might be holding those belts just to keep them up in the air, but those are buckles, and they're around their waist. So that's pretty much, you always need 3 people, but you need more than that so that when people wear out, you can take turns. Go ahead. This is kind of funny. So there's a quick thing behind this. So at the McAfee Knob Trailhead, they put this ramp up that's on the other side, and you guys will appreciate this in some of your, in chairs and stuff. They literally didn't put a ramp on the other side because they said that they just built this like last year, that they figured that at least if they put the ramp on the parking lot side, people used to cross the road, and some people got hit and injured and killed, to go from the parking lot to cross the highway where you would start the hike. So when they built the bridge, they only put the ramp on the parking lot side, and then it goes across the road, and then it has steps. So I called Virginia DOT and said, why didn't you put a ramp on the other side? And they said, well, we figured that at least people could use the ramp to get on the bridge and watch cars go by. Because, that's what I want to do, just go on I'm going to use a ramp so anyway, for whatever reason, they didn't put one on the other side, so, we did this thing just to kind of like prove the point. Now, the one thing about this, when you're on a flat, you don't really need the seatbelt. You're going downhill, you need the seatbelt because you're gonna fall off. So you can go ahead. All right, so that's at the Grand Canyon. So like I said, we had planned to go down the North Rim and then back up it, but because no one had ever done this. So I had no idea what to expect. Yeah, I was down there at the bottom on the South Rim Trail before I got hurt, but it wasn't like I was down there thinking, I wonder how this would go if you were in a wheelchair. How would I have known that I was going to get hurt? So, we left at daybreak. Able-bodied, it's 11 miles to get down there. It should have taken a few hours, but we left at daybreak. We didn't get down there until 9 p.m. Now, it was, I think I have a picture. Go to the next one. That's just, so that time, again, see, I showed you the waist belts and how we got into something that was, more easy to do. Here we're just using a rope and they're holding it with their hands. Not good. Go ahead. I'm in the middle. So that is, like I said, that is post-injury. There was a waterfall. There was 2 other guys we ran into that got us down there. There was kind of like a trail to the side, but it was steep. So we got down there, and you know, when it's 100 degrees, you kind of want to, you know, there's water, you take a break. Go ahead. That's me, just barely sitting up with enough core strength to take that picture. Go ahead. Just a view of the, I'm holding the handle of the grip chair. Go ahead. The mules. So interesting thing about mules, they've never seen wheelchairs. So I actually had to get off the chair, and they had to like put it up on the ledge because those mules did not want to walk. That scared the crap out of them. They didn't want to walk past them. Go ahead. Just a picture, taking a break. That's me, obviously. I have my binoculars so you get like good views and stuff. Go ahead. Just another shot. We're at the bottom at that point. Go ahead. Just going down the trail. Sometimes it's really rocky, sometimes it's not. Go ahead. All right, so that's in the shade, 110. Pretty hot. Pause it there. You know, like I said, we didn't get down till 9. It was still 100 degrees at 11 o'clock at night. So, you know, you're not going to sleep well. Go ahead, the next one. That might be in the dark. Okay, that's on the way back up. So, you know, we went to bed at 11. It's 100. Like, you're just going to be restless. You know, we had our sleeping pads, but you're going to wake up, you know, every half hour. It's hot. So, we realized we had to get a head start, while it was still dark. So, now remember, we went down, it was an extra 1,000 feet and 4 miles to get back up. So, we opted to do the South Rim and get a ride back. So we started at 3 a.m. This is the Bright Angel Trail. This is only 10 miles. We started at 3 in the morning. We got to the top at midnight. So it was 21 hours of hell. It was, it should have had more help. There's all these water barriers. We took a break at Indian Gardens in the middle, but then from there's all these water barriers. So, they're typically like a foot high, and they're every 10 feet. They have to have it for the erosion. So we took a bunch of breaks in the shade. Everyone was basically ready to kill me. They were like, how did we get drug into this? We're all fit and in shape, but it's just, I joked I should have had a 3x3 foot sheet of plywood, like 1/2 inch plywood, that just to get pushed over the barrier. So instead of lifting me up and over, you have a designated person that just has a 3x3 foot sheet of plywood, and he sets it down, and you roll up, and he sets it down, and you roll up. So, we didn't think of it. So it was nothing short of surreal to make it to the top. Go ahead. All right, so that's on the Appalachian. That's tight. Probably a winter hike. So my first full section hike with the chair was for a few days. That was north of Kent, where I started before I got hurt. A lot was learned. We got the waist belts we use now instead of just the rope to keep hurting your hands. It's best to have 6 people and not 3 because you can keep rotating. You got to keep moving. You can't take too long breaks, and people are going to wear out. So you need to have 2 in the front, 1 in the back, but you need to have 3 alternates that you can swap out and keep moving. Now, finishing the AT with a chair is doable. I'm planning to do it, but it's ridiculous. So there's times where, if you're familiar with the trail at all, there's rocks that are as high as that TV, and then whatever that you have to get over. So that's 55 pounds that you don't need when you're not going to be actively using it. So there are times when there's not worth having the chair. Nobody will ever be on the ground with the chair for the whole thing. Especially when you have to be carried anyway. So, although this thing's extremely durable, it weighs 55 pounds. This weighs 18 pounds. So, there's times when you're just not going to have it. So between 2 road crossings, you would have a support vehicle that would go in. You would just get carried. I don't have a picture of it, but I got one of those rescue tarps. They call it like a poleless litter. It's basically a tarp that's like 2 feet wide and like 6 feet long. It has like 6 handles on it. It's fabric. They're only like $30. It can support like, I don't know, 300 pounds. And that way you could just get, carried over the stuff when it's really rocky. That's just dead weight. It's no use when you're not on it. So the slack packing where you're just carrying bare minimum stuff and having a support thing, is key. I also discovered it's very hard to get 6 people to go where you want to go. Different people, I'd be willing to hike here or there, but it's stuff I've already done. I want to do the stuff I haven't done. So the kind of people you want to have help if you're going to do stuff with this chair need to have brute force strength. This is about strength. It's not, the stronger the better. I often joke I need to have 6 retired NFL linebackers to help me along this quest. But slowly but surely, I plan to finish the whole trail. Just like pre-injury, my goal was to finish at Katahdin. You've seen the sign, the wooden sign in Maine. That's still my goal to finish at that point, and leaving nothing untouched. Go ahead. This is some different views of some people helping me that lived in Connecticut with the chair. Go ahead. I'm sitting on the ground there because at times I would just kind of like crab walk and just get off the chair and just pull myself backwards. Go ahead. Now I can stand up, so that is narrower than that chair. So you can't take that chair across it. So they shouldered me. Now you can say, well, they weren't on either side of you. No, they weren't. So one of them was behind me. It was like you're doing the, in Thriller with Michael Jackson, you're doing one of them was behind me holding my shoulders, and I think one of them was in front of me for support. So, I walked over that thing. Go ahead. There I'm standing up, just getting myself between the rocks. There's no way to prepare for this. I did a lot of mountain biking before I got hurt, so that helped a lot. So I could, this guy was a mountain biker, so he kind of knew to, it's all about, well, this is the best line, or this is the best line. So, just another view of, you have to tilt it a lot. The best thing is to keep it in that wheelie position when you're going over big stuff. Go ahead. Again, like I said, there were times where, as best I could, where I would just get off of it. But again, here's the chairs behind, there's places where, it just would have been easier to get carried and have more people. Go ahead. It just, he's carrying the chair over his head. It just gets, this is not for the faint of heart. Go ahead. Yeah. So, we're talking, again, I don't know if any of you, if you're seeing some of the Appalachian stuff for the first time, this is what I'm talking about. This isn't, it's a slow go. I probably only do 5 miles in a day when it's go ahead. It rained. That's at one of the shelters. Go ahead. White Blaze, just because of the Appalachian. Go ahead. All right. So I'd also done a hike to Long Point. That's at New River Gorge National Park. This is with the help of, this was more geared towards the AT thing. My friend Pam, her son is, he's a wrestler. He's only 21. He was very strong. So that was a couple miles. There was a lot of rocky stuff to get down there. And that bridge is pretty iconic. You guys might have seen that before. That's the New River Gorge Bridge down in West Virginia. I forget what day it is, but I went last year. Every year they have a thing down there. It's called Bridge Day. And there's hundreds of them that are accomplished base jumpers. They base jump off that. And then they parachute down into the river. So, the dogs really help with this. Obviously, they're bred to do that. They carry their own water and so forth. And go ahead to the next one. that's at New River Gorge again. Go ahead. Okay, so this is just something, you know, again, some of you have got in this, maybe some tent camping, you know, in the wake of your injury, and it might be of interest. So, you know, because before, my biggest day on the trail with a 30-pound pack before I got hurt with the dog was 29 miles. Now, like I said, my average is only probably 5. So, you know, the shelters are too far apart for you to make it. You know, this is a good lightweight tent. It weighs about 3 pounds. The company's called Big Agnes. It's a copper spur UL2. It's a 2-person tent. Now, this thing that annex on there, that's called a hotel vestibule. So that literally is, you know, it's not specific to being disabled, but it works out that, you know, you can keep your chair dry and have some gear under there, and you know, it won't get wet. You know, it's a team effort with the thing, and you know, you can go ahead. So this is something I want to share. Like, you know, a lot of you might have got, you know, the onset of the MS. It's a little different than spinal cord, but you know, at some point the doctor told you I had MS or something. So that's the first day of the rest of your life. The day I got hurt was the first day of the rest of my life. I never heard this term until about 2 years ago. Maybe some of you guys have, but you can, yeah, can you go back to that thing with the shirt? Those were just 2 pictures of cycling that were supposed to be in the beginning. So a live day is the anniversary of the day of when a veteran almost lost their lifetime, or someone surviving a near-death event, like when I got hit, that had a major impact on the individual's life. So a lot of people look at like the day, oh, the day I got disabled, the day I found out I had MS, the day I found out I had cancer, as a negative thing. You can turn that around and look at it. That's why it's called a live day, because it's a day that, you know, you were reborn, and now that, you know, you have to, you know, just move forward from there. So there's 2 more that were supposed to be back during the bike thing, but go ahead. What's that? Oh yeah, I'm holding it. Yeah, that was a Ragbri. Yeah, that was one of my friends, a hand cyclist, wearing that shirt, and then yeah, it's all right. It's I think it was free, so they tend to taste pretty good. Go ahead. These are just ones that were supposed to be early. That's a crit that I won in a sprint in Pennsylvania. Came around the guy right at the line. There's one more, and that's just some. I got third, some podium race or something. One of my friends at Wise Ass and asked if I raced in the camo shorts. I was like, no. They changed, wanted to get them off. So, you know, this thing is a great piece of equipment that you can use for, you know, for these hikes and stuff. So, you know, the only limitations I noticed that a lot of people have with any disability, that a lot of people, you know, you come out of the rehabs and stuff, and, you know, they don't want you to get hurt, and it's, oh, well, you know, you should do this and stuff. So, you know, the only limitations you have in general that people have are the ones they set or let others set for themselves, you know. So I just happen to be someone that, you know, didn't want to let my injury stop me from fulfilling my goals. So, and I kind of steamrolled through that. I meant to say if you had any questions along the way, but that's all I got. So if you do have any questions, I'm here. So.
Very good, thanks, Gary.
Yeah.